I just Googled this morning, just because it's really remarkable what you could find when you actually look. I just Googled Joe Biden and donors. And just, you'd be amazed. You'd truly, truly be amazed what you could find if you simply look. You know, CNN with their army of producers. New York Times with its an army of researchers. So I Google Joe Biden and fundraisers, and what comes up? Joe Biden eyes San Francisco fundraising tour, setting up Bay Area battleground for 2020 Democrats. So this is like one of the first things that comes up. So I did something radical, and I went through those who are raising money for him or organizing fundraisers for Joe Biden, who, according to everybody, I mean, Status Quo has reported on the fact that the polls are pretty misleading. I found this fundraiser that he's going to be doing in San Francisco. He wants that Silicon Valley money. And that Silicon Valley money, all the tech people, all the coders, all the tech entrepreneurs, which many of them, Silicon Valley is like the Mean Girls, if you watch that movie. It's like bloodthirsty competition there. But Biden also just did a fundraiser at a gentleman's house by the name of John Morgan. And John Morgan is a Florida, Orlando mega lawyer. He's a mega attorney that has raised gobbles and gobbles and gobbles of money for Hillary Clinton, President Obama, and other Democrats. So he had a fundraiser in John Morgan's home. And John Morgan, who is a big lawyer, a big fundraiser, apparently John Morgan thinks he had to leave the Democratic Party. So that's where we're going to start this story. So if you're not used to going to statusquo.com, what are you doing? Here's the story, front page, statusquo.com. You can read along with me. Jen will put the story in the super link. I'm going to read some of it, and then we'll take breaks for analysis here. So, at a recent fundraiser Joe Biden held in California, and by the way, I just did this. This isn't to toot my own horn, but I reported, so I researched, I reported, and I did this story. Probably took me 2.5, 3 hours. And that was just the effort to look and write it. The researching didn't take as long as the writing it. So imagine what corporate media can do. Imagine what Status Quo could do if you give us more resources. Yeah, that's right. If you give us more resources to hire more reporters, hire more researchers, hire more marketing people, imagine what we could do with the resources of these corporate criminals. At a recent fundraiser Joe Biden held in California with Hollywood and tech heavyweights like DreamWorks animation chief Jeffrey Katzenberg and former Google CEO Eric Schmidt, Joe Biden told the crowd, "I don't want to hear anybody saying we're doing things in secret, okay? I'm proud to say publicly anything I have, and I'm proud to stand with you publicly." And he said that to a very small group of reporters that they're allowing in. A very small group of reporters that they're allowing into his fundraisers. Basically reporters that are stenographers and sycophants for the Biden campaign that won't challenge them. He said this about the donors that he is fundraising with. So he's allowing a few people, hello Portugal, he's allowing a few people, reporters, into his fundraisers. And he's saying, I am proud to stand with these fine men and women of Goldman Sachs, of Comcast, of pharmaceutical companies, and apparently the people that this story that Status Quo reported exclusively on. He's proud to stand with some pretty suspect people. And remember, folks, this is a super chat. Please, we're just back live today. Let us know if you're feeling super. So, if Biden is so proud to stand publicly with his donors that his recent big dollar financial support indicates the former vice president sees no issue with raising money from those who've defected from the Democratic Party because of the likes of that tyrannical Democratic socialist, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and give it heavily to the Florida Republican Party that's actively restricting former felons' recently restored voting rights. Then there's the former California state controller who supported a disgraced Silicon Valley executive guilty of domestic violence. Biden recently held a fundraiser at the home of Orlando mega attorney and a longtime political fundraiser, John Morgan. Morgan is not so far removed from defecting from the Democratic Party over what he perceived to be the terrible implications of the rise of Ocasio-Cortez. In March of this year, he tweeted, "Oh, the tyranny. I did not leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. A 29-year-old bartender did this. That 29-year-old bartender who just wants the tyranny. She wants health care for all. She wants a Green New Deal. She wants workers' rights. How dare her? I can't believe the Democratic Party is losing me. Dare the Democratic Party. Victoria, $5. Thank you." So it's funny when rich people complain. I agree. This guy reminds me of that guy from MSNBC who went on MSNBC, Stephen Klubeck, who said, "I told Chuck and Nancy, knock it off. I don't want to hear a damn thing about the billionaires. One more comment about the billionaires, I'm cutting you off." So this guy, John Morgan, defected. Joe Biden is having caviar and champagne in his home. This guy defected from the Democratic Party, apparently because Ocasio-Cortez is, I don't know if it's the fact that she's a bartender or she's a woman of color or she sticks up to vile rich men like him, but that was one or two steps too far. So he said, "I'm leaving the Democratic Party." But it didn't stop there. I actually don't care if you left the Democratic Party. There's a lot of reasons to leave the Democratic Party these days. But that's not the most egregious part of this guy, John Morgan. And I reached out to Biden's campaign about this. They didn't get back to me. So, surprising. Morgan didn't stop at claiming the Democratic Party was lost because of the rise of an everyday woman of color championing Medicare for all, or a Green New Deal, and workers' rights. No. He just gave $75,000 to the Florida Republican Party. Do you know what the Florida Republican Party is doing right now? Let me ask the audience. If you live in Florida, do you know what your Republican Party is currently doing there? So there was a historic ballot measure that was going to restore the voting rights for 1.4 million former felons who did their time and now just wanted to vote like everybody else. And it passed during the midterm elections. But of course, as I always tell you, we live in the United Corporations of America, not the United States of America. So that ballot measure, which passed by you, the people, I don't know, what's that called? Jen, what is that called when there's ballot measures directly from the people and it passes? Is that called direct democracy? David Long, I got signatures for that bill. Well, David Long, Joe Biden is doing fundraisers at the home of a ex-Democrat who's now funding $75,000 to the very Florida Republican Party that you were fighting against, that is now just passed a law that is basically passed a law to basically implement a poll tax on those very Florida former felons. A poll tax where they have to pay all of these fees to be able to vote again. I mean, not a lot has changed since the 19th century, 20th century. This was a way of stopping black men and women from voting. So, I don't know, this guy Joe Biden, do you detect a pattern here? Because they know who they're fundraising with. These are very, very smart campaigns. The campaign aides and Joe Biden, they know the people that they're going into their homes to fundraise with. They just don't care. So I see a pattern. And Ty, if you're in the super chat, let me know if you see a pattern. You got a guy that stood on the Senate floor saying, lock them up, lock up these people. I don't want them near my mother. I don't want them near your mother. Referring to black men. He didn't have to say it. That's who he was talking about. He was the creator of the Joe Biden crime bill, that he is now living in an alternate reality. He's as bad as Trump denying reality. He's saying, oh, the crime bill did not usher in. The crime bill did not usher in mass incarceration. That's a myth. No. That didn't do anything. Most of the people in prison are on the state level, not the federal level. Yeah, the state prison population exploded because the crime bill on that federal level gave them incentives to put more men, black men, in prison for longer sentences. So that state level, we're trying to arrest and prosecute and charge more men that could not defend themselves. Cheryl Simpson, why is he even running? I don't get it. It's called United Corporations of America, and they will stop at anything. They will run Ronald McDonald if they have to stop Bernie Sanders or Tulsi Gabbard. So, Joe Biden, who is on the campaign trail defending the crime bill, you know, it's not what you say. I'll defend it. I'm proud of it. Blah blah blah. Yeah, you know, he likes to say, "Look, is it perfect? No. Yeah, go tell that to the prisons that are packed in large part with, you know, a lot of African American men that are in prison for 3 strikes on nonviolent offenses." So here's what I think. Okay, Joe Biden and his campaign, who did not respond to Status Quo's requests for comment, not shocked. They need to explain how Joe Biden is the best Democratic candidate that's going to lift the lives of black voters. And I'm not saying this condescendingly as a white man. I really would like them to explain. When he is taking money and hobnobbing in mansions in Florida, thank you, Cortez, for $1 in the super chat. When he's taking money from the very people that are funding state parties to stop black men from voting. Is there a contradiction there? Can somebody tell me, is there a contradiction? Does he not know that he's doing fundraisers with Republican donors who are giving $75,000 to the Florida Republican Party while they're trying to stop black men from voting? Black men who just served their time. They served their time. That's the American justice system. They all might not be perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. But they served their time, and they are entitled to vote based on the ballot measure by the people that Joe Biden claims he's the best candidate to represent. Well, you're not the best candidate to represent them if you're taking money from people who are funding the politicians trying to basically stomp on the civil rights of those black felons.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statusquo.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statusquo.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.